if Donald Trump goes to prison, there will be a massive revolt against the government in this country. Might even lead to something like a civil war. Now, a civil war in today's times, 2023, I don't think will look the same as it did when we had our original civil war back in the 1800s. But I think we're kind of already in a civil war in a sense. We're just using it with our thumbs, right, on Twitter and on different platforms, canceling people, basically spreading information and propaganda one way or the other. So we're in a very weird time right now. But I believe that if he goes to prison, people are going to be upset. I mean, look at what happened with the January 6th thing, okay? And you can say for what it is, people were upset, right? They were upset at the election, and you can say that this was some crazy thing. You can say that it was nothing. Whatever it was, there was energy behind people being upset at the election. Now imagine if the former president, President Trump, goes to prison for something that the sitting president has done as well. The classified documents thing is also what President Biden has done. He's taken home those things. All this stuff came out recently, right? And so if we're divided at such a level, and it's kind of like Trump team, Biden team, kind of the conservatives versus the liberals type of mindset, they're going to say, just like the election, this is robbery, this is unjust, this is unfair, this isn't right. And it's going to really piss a lot of people off, especially because they're going to say, this is the way that you're going to not get him to run for president, right? So it's going to be around the same sort of thing, but I think there's so much more energy now. President Biden is, really, I mean, I don't know how you can just as a human being want him, whether you're really, really in favor of his politics and his decision-making or not, he's clearly way too old. It's just like when you see someone on the road and they're driving 30 miles an hour in a 60, they pull up next to him and they're just really, really old. They can barely steer over the steering wheel, or they just don't have their faculties. He obviously doesn't have his faculties. Now, he might be a great person. He might be the person that lead our country to the promised land. I don't think that's it, but he's obviously and clearly way too old. He's got signs of dementia. Anyone with a brain can see this. So it's an interesting situation where you've got someone who's leading the country, shouldn't be leading the country. There's no real options for the Democrat side. At least I don't know of any. People think if Trump runs, he's going to get all this support. Well, what's the way that you combat it? Put him in prison. People are going to be really, 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 really upset, and it's going to lead to chaos. So I don't know if that's the plan from the powers that be. I'm not saying that they should put him in prison. I'm not saying that they shouldn't put him in prison. I don't know. I don't really care. Trump, to me, is not my savior. Do I agree with some of the things that he says? Yes. But again, if I say that and someone is watching this and they're liberal, they're going to think that I'm a Trump supporter. Look, I don't vote. I think that this fucking country is bought and paid for, and it has the elections are just there to make it seem like we have a democracy, when really the only color is green. It's not red, it's not blue, it's green. So if you have the money, if you have the power, you're going to be able to control who makes the laws and who does all that. And so I look at it from a people point of view. I look at it from an emotional standpoint. Like I said, we're emotional, or I didn't say that, but we're emotional beings. And if you put someone that people are emotionally behind because they're so angry at President Biden, let's just say, they want Trump in, they thought he was robbed the first time, and now he's got been this dementia-laden, stuttering guy in the White House, destroying your ideals of the country. And then you're going to take the guy who's supposed to, defeat him, and you're not going to let him, even compete. People are going to be upset, and who knows what they end up doing. I don't know what they're going to do. Like I said, a civil war or a rebellion might look different today. It might not be people, banging on doors and I have a beard in my mouth, and shooting people and things like that. It might look like that. I don't know if it will. I think there will be some instances of that, but Will it spill out into the greater public? Now, the other thing that you have to think about is this something that if you were trying to create some sort of, not like a false flag, there are some of those in history, but let's just say there's an entity that is above the United States government and the rest of the governments on the planet, and they want to create chaos in this country. That would be a way for them to do it, right? Like I'm saying, I think that would create a lot of chaos. But what if they see the writing on the wall that this country, with all of its debt, with all of its problems, with this, the COVID crisis, getting rid of tons of businesses changing, businesses going away, getting swallowed up, coming together. My investment brokerage, all right, just got bought, basically, it was a huge, investment firm, and I'm now under someone else now because that company is completely gone. It's like weird things are happening at such a high rate. Now, if the writing is on the wall, and they look at the numbers and they go, look, this country is going to have a crazy crash, but we don't want it to be for X, Y, and Z reasons. We want it to be these reasons. We want to blame it on like January 6th, those types of people, these crazy people that, or the, supposed crazy people that are, just, illogical, and they just want Trump in, and they refuse to acknowledge, the results of the election, blah, blah, blah. They can do that. They can play that same narrative if they put Trump in jail, and then these people start wreaking havoc across the country, and then everything else crashes because of that. Well, I believe things are going to crash anyways. So I say let them crash, because when do you learn? When things get bad. We'll come back, just like every society. People say the fall of Rome. Well, you can go to Rome today. Rome is still there. Are they the great nation that they were? No, but there is still a Rome. It's not like things just disappear. America's not just going to disappear if we fall. It'll be different. We might not be number one, but it's going to be different, and it's changing right now. I mean, in a lot of ways, things have changed. Economically, socially, influentially, things have changed. But if this is the way that it's going to go, if this is the scapegoat that they're going to use, it's going to be weird, man, because who has all the guns? Most of the Republican Party has the guns. So that's where it gets interesting. If it does turn into bloodshed, I don't know where this goes, and that could get scary. Now, most places are going to be, free of this, but what does that then do for martial law? Because President Biden is on the other side, and people are going to be upset at that. What happens with martial law? What does then the military do? Does the military follow the president, or do they follow what they believe is true? What about the police? So again, it brings up questions that I don't know the answers to, but I do think that if that happens, if he goes to prison, watch out. If you don't have good locks on your doors, if you don't have good security systems, it could get a little bit scary. It could get a little bit hairy. Again, it might not. It might be, more of a, protest type thing. It might be of a, hey, we're going to boycott. We're not going to go to work. Police, I think that would be the interesting thing. Imagine if the police force went on strike. That would be bad, right? Because then the criminals would run amok. But certain industries, let's just say, people who are working for the government that are on maybe the Republican side, they stop. So that would create an impasse with a lot of things that go on in our country, all right? So that's just what I believe. I don't know if that's the plan from the New World Order or anything like that. I don't know. I think, like I said, my opinion is, money makes the world go round. If you have the money, if you have the influence, you don't have to be out there. Some of the richest people in the world aren't on the Forbes list because they don't want people to know who they are, right? And they can move a lot of the conversation. They can push things one way or the other. They can, make things seem like it's crashing because of one reason, but it's already here, and maybe they want the blame somewhere else. Who knows? But watch out if Trump goes to prison. I know this stuff is unfolding. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but I'm definitely keeping my ears perked and seeing what's going on, because I want to be ready for any of the chaos that might come my way. Now, I live in a very affluent area, so I think a lot of this stuff will pass by me, but who knows, right? You never know. Since 2020, I mean, and I wrote in my journal, 2020, the year of surprises. The day started out with surprises, the week had surprises, the year had surprises, and it's never stopped looking back since. So who knows? I ask more questions on this channel than I do give answers, but that's just one of the things that I see. If he goes to prison, it's going to create chaos. What do you think? Shoot me a comment. Let's have some discussion and let's figure out some solutions to some of these problems. Like I said, I think that when things crash and the bad comes, you end up learning how to deal with it. As bad as it might get, that's the only way that we're going to learn. But we're going to learn. If it's this slow burn and we just keep, in this kind of quasi, are we in a recession? Are things bad? Homelessness is going up. Oh, but jobs came up, and it's like, we're in this weird stage right now where things are bad, but it's not so bad yet. Like, I don't think that we really galvanize ourselves against things and come together as a population and say, hey, enough is enough. These people are just taking advantage of us. We really need to get our shit together. I don't know. I think in my life, at least, when things have gotten bad, that's when I've changed. That's when I've turned things around. When things are great, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you can slow the bleeding, you will. And that's just human nature. But if Trump goes to prison, watch out. Again, let me know what you think. I'll see you next time.